Hi guys, so on this third part of my series on redemption, I want to talk about that rich young ruler which I mentioned in the previous episode. The lesson that Yeshua was trying to show us was not necessarily the fact that wealthy people or people with influence are not able to make it into the kingdom of heaven, but rather the heart posture. You see, that rich young ruler approached Yeshua with the mindset that he was already saved. He felt like he had done everything that he should do, and so he had already justified himself even before the Most High justified him. Right? Because he went ahead and listed everything that he had done that was right, and so it was almost as if nothing else was needed to save him. And so he was presenting a resume like a pitch, like, hey, Yeshua, I have done this, and this. Just go ahead and let me in, okay? Go ahead and let me in because I'm your man. But Yeshua goes back to him and says, not quite that fast, not that fast, young man, right? Have you done this, though? Since you are such a perfect person and you feel like you deserve this award, have you done this, though? Okay, I tell you what, you go ahead and do that, and then you come back to me, and you can have this award. That, in essence, is really how that conversation was going, or went. And so the lesson here is that it is the Most High that justifies us. He is the one that saves us, not we ourselves. Because that rich young ruler relied on his abilities, his works, as well as his wealth to justify himself, when in reality his heart was not in the right place. And so because his heart posture was was unacceptable to Yeshua, that caused him to not necessarily be rejected by Yeshua, but it caused him to reject himself, because it was really all about him to begin with. If he truly had wanted to be saved, he would have came to Yeshua in a different manner. He would have come to seek salvation and not necessarily to demand it or to pitch it. You see? So now, having said that, I want to give you guys a different scenario of a different rich man who also had an interaction with Yeshua, which ended in a different manner from that of the rich young ruler. So walk with me through to Luke chapter 19. And so I'm going to read to you guys from verses 1 through 10. And this chapter talks about this rich young ruler, okay? And his name, not the same person, but a different rich young person whose name was Zacchaeus. All right? So chapter 1, or rather verse 1 of Luke chapter 19 goes as follows. And Yeshua entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. And he sought to see Yeshua, who he was, and could not, for the press, or for the people that were surrounding him, the press, the media, and also because he was little of stature, so he was a short guy. All right? And so he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree in order to see Yeshua, for he knew that Yeshua was to pass that way. And when Yeshua came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at your house. And so Zacchaeus made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when the people saw it, they all murmured, saying that Yeshua, he has gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. And so Zacchaeus stood and said unto Yeshua, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I have restored him fourfold. And Yeshua said unto him, This day salvation has come to your house, for so much as you are also a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. So you guys, I wanted to point out this story because Zacchaeus was a man that he was infamous. People did not like him because he was a publican, and what that means is that he was a tax collector of his time. He worked for the Roman Empire to collect taxes from his own people, who were the Jews of that time. And it was known back then that the Romans would collect double, maybe even triple from the Jews, because they knew that they were very wealthy people and hardworking people. And so to kind of oppress them, they would go ahead and collect more than they would from Roman citizens. And this is where Zacchaeus worked. And it appeared that he had a very high-ranking position with this IRS kind of job, you know? And so people did not like him at all. They considered him a sinner because they felt like he was defrauding his own people, when in reality, he was simply doing his job, right? And so you have a man whose reputation had already been dragged through the mud by his own people. He had been misunderstood. He was not taught very highly by people around him, which was a different case from that of that rich young ruler in the other scenario, right? So Zacchaeus automatically did not think so highly of himself. Here was a man who, instead of justifying himself, he desperately craved the justification of Yeshua. He wanted Yeshua to kind of understand where he was coming from, And so Yeshua, being the Most High, automatically knew that Zacchaeus was waiting for him. And so that's why the Bible says he looked up and saw him. And instead of Zacchaeus, giving him a pitch, Yeshua gave him a rundown. Like, listen, I'm coming to your house today. And by publicly saying that, it was almost as if he was redeeming this man right in the presence of everybody. And so it wasn't a surprise that when he made the announcement that he was coming to Zacchaeus' house to eat that day and to hang out with him, not hang out, but to visit him, people began to complain and murmur, like, oh, he's gonna go to this sinner's house. You see how people are? Because more than likely, those who made those assumptions about Zacchaeus were not paying their taxes. Right? But they're not sinners, right? It's Zacchaeus that's a sinner because he's actually trying to make them pay that money. So anyway, the Most High is almost as if he accepts him immediately, because already you guys, he had already seen this man's heart. He knew that this man was one of those people who would, probably be asking for mercy from God, like, please forgive me. I know that people think I'm a certain way, but I'm actually trying to do the right thing here. I'm doing my job. And that is exactly what he goes forward to explain to Yeshua, because it implies that Yeshua does go ahead and come to his house. And that's when this conversation takes place, is that he goes on to explain that, look, Lord, I know that people are saying all these things about me, but did you know that half of the goods that I have obtained from my job, I give to the poor? And if there's anything that I've taken from any man, and it turns out that it was falsely done, I always give them back fourfold. So it was like he was trying to explain that, Lord, I'm not a bad person. This is the manner of the job that I do. But I realize that I need your salvation. I realize that you are the only one that can justify me and not myself of myself. You see, and the Most High understood that beforehand. And so after he said that, Yeshua replied and said, salvation has come to your house today, because the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. And so immediately the Most High justified him. He affirmed, not necessarily affirmed him, but he affirmed his faith, being Zacchaeus' faith, to kind of explain to him that I understand the man that you are, and I understand your desire to be saved above what everybody else thinks about you. I understand that you are not trying to sell me your positive character, but rather you want me to help you, to save you. Does that make sense? And so that is really where the lesson is that you have two different men, right? Two different scenarios. But one man realized that he may not be as perfect, or he was not perfect, period. And that he needed the salvation of the Most High, versus the other who felt that he was already on the right track and that he was doing what was needed to be saved, and therefore did not need the help of the Most High. And so it speaks ultimately about the heart posture, our heart posture towards the Most High. We cannot come to him making assumptions about who we are. We have to realize that he sees through us. He sees our faults. And so we cannot pretend with him. We cannot try to create a false sense of reality whereby we're living a hypocritical lifestyle. Because the Most High sees us exactly as we are. And even as we lie to ourselves, we simply close the door of salvation, because he's looking at us as we are, but we are trying to bamboozle him, if you will, by painting a picture that is not. So in summary, salvation comes through faith. It comes through a humility, a heart posture of humility towards the Most High. It comes in knowing that we are not justified by our works, but rather by his work in us. And so when we compare the lives of these two rich men, we can also see that the things that we hold dear to us are not restrictive to wealth itself or having money. The camel passing through the eye of the needle is not exclusive to rich people. Yeshua used that because many times it's harder for rich people because they do have much that they hold on to due to their wealth and their status. However, everybody has that one thing that they hold on to, even if you're not wealthy. For some of us, it might be cars, it might be a house, it might be even our apartments, it might be our clothes, it might be that one certain handbag that we love, it might even be a TV. It might even be a homeless person on the street holding on to the cart full of his clothes. You see, we all have that one thing that's keeping us from the Most High, that we are holding on to far above the Most High. So that is the other thing that I want us to grasp, is that faith goes past holding on to things. It frees us because it helps us to realize that life is far more than what a man has. Salvation is far more than that as also. And so I pray that you guys understand what I'm saying and that the Spirit helps us to make changes in our lives so that this message can be a blessing to us all. We all have that one thing. And I pray that it does not stand in the way of our relationship with the Most High and of our faith. Let us look up to the person, to the one who justifies us, not because of what we have or what we have done, but rather because of what He has done and because of the way that He sees us, the way that He loves us, in such a way that He was able to die for us even before the creation of the world and of us. So you guys, that is the lesson for today. And I pray that it's a blessing. Thank you. Until next time.